Hello, this is Hamlet Batista from RankSense, and I'm really excited to share with you some powerful ideas about that can automate your typical marketing workflow. And we're going to be talking about specifically about leveraging Python and JavaScript for that. So imagine that you want to find what SERP features your competitor has that you don't have yet, right? There are tools that you could use the SEMrush report for that and do it one at a time. But what if you have to repeat this process every month, or you have to repeat it across multiple competitors? So we're gonna learn how we can leverage the SEMrush API and a little bit of coding to accomplish that. Okay. And why would you want to learn that yourself? And why would SEOs need to code other than HTML, right? And let's talk about some of the exciting reasons that you can do. Is you can do more exciting work, you can increase your productivity, you can gain more credibility, and interesting, you can also get job security. So let me share some of the most interesting case studies that I've seen people tweeting at me on, and I started encouraging people to learn about Python last year, and Moshi, in just a couple of weeks that he spent time, he built a fantastic log analyzer, which I was very impressed. I learned about from Matt LaQuesta that a team member from his agency built this amazing visualization from from people also ask questions, right? See how cool is that, right? Julia came up with this model, machine learning model, to predict the page speed score for different sites. It's incredibly powerful stuff that is coming from the community, right? So what are typical things, and here I share a few articles that you can also learn a little bit more and dig into. Here is, one that I wrote about automating the URL inspection tool. So you can find pages that are critical you want to submit to Google to get them indexed a lot quicker. So this is one article that shows you how to do that, combining Python and JavaScript. Here's a more recent one that is about understanding and solving really complex problems. So this is an article that I published recently, Search Engine Land, that digs into the how the actual how the browser actually parses pages. It's really interesting. Other things you can do is write really compelling stories from insights that are really hard to find because engineers and marketers operate in silos. So this is also something that's really powerful that you can do, right? Other things you can do, this is actually an article that I'm going to leverage for the idea that I'm going to share today, is that you can invent new processes that didn't even exist before, right? In this case, I was trying to understand the performance of a brand that sells in other marketplaces, sells in marketplaces. The marketplaces don't share that information, and I found a way to get that information. Uh, so check this out; it's really cool, right? Or things you can future-proof your job. A lot of the stuff is being done with AI, with natural language processing. It's amazing the kind of stuff that is happening right now, and the stuff that is actually possible. And this one, I show you how to generate meta descriptions from scratch, leveraging BERT, right? If you're familiar with that, right? So, what is the minimum Python? What is the minimum programming knowledge that you need, right? And I typically, what I used to do is I would recommend tutorials and courses that are, in Coursera or Udacity or DataCamp. And one of the challenges that the feedback that I got is that a lot of those are designed for engineers, for people that want to have a programming career, which is not typically the case for marketers. So thinking about that, I said, okay, what if let me put together a resource that is going to be specifically for marketers. And I recently published an article for Search Engine Journal about an introduction to Python specifically for marketers, especially if you know how to build, if you're very familiar working with Google Sheets, spreadsheets, which marketer doesn't do that, right? Then you'll be able to learn Python. Specifically, my approach was John Mueller. He had this question about what type of content performs better in mobile versus desktop, and he used Wikipedia to find out, right? But what he did, it wouldn't be possible to do it manually, and he created a Python notebook that he shared. So what I did in my article is I walked through it. I essentially I explained line by line what it's using, how everything is working, and at the same time took the opportunity to introduce the building blocks of how the programming language works and how you essentially put together solutions doing that, right? So it's really cool and really powerful. So make sure that you check that. So let's talk about, what we want to do, right? What SERP features my competitor has that I don't have, right? And we have to start with what are SERP features, right? And in the position tracking tool in SEMrush, you'll find this is just a small sample of them. You have feature snippets, local pack, reviews, AMP, site links, videos, featured videos, top stories. People also ask, you have all these different features that make the SERPs a lot more useful for end users, right? But at the same time, these features are stealing away from the traditional organic listings that we have. So it's very important that you start mastering them and keeping track of how many our competitors have that we don't have. So that's what we're going to be learning, right? So if we go to the organic report in the SEMrush, we'll find, for example, for Eurozone, we'll find all the site features that they have and the number of keywords that rank for those site features, for those SERP features, right? And these are the ones for advanced auto parts. So when I did the comparison for both, I found that AutoZone has a lot more SERP features, right? And except for the top stories that they have about the same, right? So that type of comparison of these two competitors that I quickly find that information, it's not a standard report. And this is just an example, right? I'm sure that, SEMrush will add this capability in no time. But you might be able to find workflows and capabilities that you don't have immediately. And that might even be your competitive advantage because you figured out a process that nobody else knows. And instead of trying to do it manually all the time, you can actually automate it with with a little bit of programming. So how do we do that, right? And what I did is I put together a Colab notebook that I'll be sharing in the transcript, so you have it, which basically takes this workflow and does it. And it didn't take me a lot of time to put it together, and the reason was because I basically pull code that I have already written myself, but you can do the same thing from code that I've written or the people that have written the code. You can take that code and make some small modifications and stitch it together until it does the work that you want to do, right? And in this case here, I want to show you the code actually what it does, right? So in the notebook, and you're not going to see any code because I can actually, after I design it, I can create a form where you can input the information, and all the code I can hide it so that it's not confusing or not clear, understandable for the end user. But once you put the information here, just run all, and it will go through the whole steps that I created to accomplish my workflow. At the end, you'll get the output. In this case, I didn't get it on the first try because I got an error from Colab, but I tried to see quickly to see if there was a mistake. No, there wasn't. That happens sometimes, so I just run it again, and now I got the output. Right, I got a CSV that was downloaded to my computer. Right, and then I went back again, and now I provide a different domain. Right. So think about that. It's like I'm building a new capability for SEMrush myself, right? Without having to wait for them to add it or whether they want to add it or not. It doesn't matter. I can actually put it together. It doesn't take a lot of time and effort once I master the basics and I can build it, right? So now I'm gonna do the same thing for advanced auto parts, right? And I'm gonna get another CSV file from this, right? So, and you see, and it runs really fast, right? See the two CSV files here, right? And now we have the output for our analysis, right? And this is what it looks like. So now I took the CSV files and I manually imported them into Google Sheets. But that's also something that can be automated if you follow the introduction article that I mentioned. And this is the one for AutoZone, right? So now I have this, and I can do it for any number of domains, and with a little bit of modification, and instead of providing one at a time, I can provide a list. So it's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do. So now let's look a little bit about the code, right? Without getting into the crazy details, right? So I went to the article, and I just basically copy and pasted the code that I already developed there. And I made a very small change, which was for that article, I needed to pull a number of columns from SEMrush. In this case, I only needed one, which is the SERP features. I learned about what that column was in the API documentation. This is what it is. It says exactly what I needed. And that's it, right? Now, when I tested the changes that I made, I found something really interesting. The SERP features that I get back from the API are not the names, but the numbers that identify each feature, right? So if you remember, okay, and when I pull this features that I don't know what the numbers mean, I had to come up with another, I had to translate those features into their names. And that's what I could do that manually, creating the dictionary. Oh, feature 0 is this, 1 is this. But I said, okay, why don't I do them automatically as well? But for this, when I have to scrape information from a page, I find it a lot more convenient to do it in JavaScript, right? And so in this case, for another article that I published, I had a code snippet that I created to pull the Google Trends topics. So I just used that code and adapted it for this specific use case. The only thing I had to do was copy a selector from the page. So a selector allows you to address an element in a page. It's like with that you can actually identify an element. So I copy that selector, and that selector, right, identifies that single element. I just had to make a single change, which is remove that I only want that change. I said I don't want that only that element. I want the whole column. And with the whole column and the code that I copy and pasted from the code that I already wrote for a different article, I just had to change the selector. I didn't change anything else. You see, it was the same. This is not about trending, but I could use it for the same purpose just by changing the selector. Now that I have the selector, I copy and paste it while the page is open. I copy and paste the code in the console, in the developers tools console, call that function that I could just create it, and I get all the elements. And that was what I needed to create the code. So hopefully you find this useful. Thank you very much.